comfortable being a passenger with a Shetland fisherman who knew his stuff. About 15 minutes into the journey, I turned my head to look back to Hildasay. In a voice that was almost a whisper, both sad and fearful, given the swell, I said, "Goodbye, mate. Until next time." I felt a lump in my throat and a tingling sensation ran through my body as I uttered the words. I was sad to be leaving. Saying goodbye was bittersweet, like bidding farewell to an old friend who I'd gotten to know incredibly well and wouldn't see again for a while. I knew every nook and cranny of that island, and it would always be the place that I'd picked up the shattered pieces of my life and put them back together again. And this time, welded with steel, not fragile glue. I'd gotten stronger and fitter out there, learned all I could about foraging, hit my fundraising target of £100,000 for Sappho, and got to watch Jet be a completely free and happy dog. The chimes of thousands of birds, both in the morning and at night, had become so embedded in my mind that any time that I wanted to hear them, all I had to do was close my eyes and imagine. The island was a special place. I would be a liar if I didn't admit to being proud of taking on the challenge of living at sea alone on an uninhabited island for the whole of the first lockdown. Not only had I survived, I had thrived. "Bye, pal," I said one last time before returning my attention to the front of the boat. I took a deep breath, looked down at Jet and gave her a big wink. "Jet, it's time. Let's go and nail this fucking thing once and for all." I estimated we still had around 3 weeks left to complete Shetland, which included 3 more islands, 2 inhabited and 1 uninhabited, plus a small chunk of mainland Shetland. We had survived the winter relatively unscathed, and spring had now well and truly sprung into action. Flowers, plants, wildlife were appearing in abundance. And the winds, though still strong and relentless, no longer felt like being stabbed by tiny pins all over my hands and face. It was now more like a gentle slap from a warm hand. In all, things were looking up. By the time we arrived back in the harbour of Burgh, another island off Shetland, now joined to the mainland by a bridge, I had flicked a switch in my head back into walk mode. I spent a day or 2 sleeping in Victor's son's garage, which had a small room out the back, with a shower and a sink, where I cleaned and gutted and cleared out all of my equipment ready to continue. To me, doing this was like having your house completely gutted, with a car valet to boot. I had become incredibly anal about my equipment. Everything I had to be in its place, cleaned, and ready to use at any moment's notice. It's vital if you want to be a good adventurer. It always felt amazing when it was all done, as well as such a satisfying feeling. I loved it. The 3 months we had spent cast away on Hildasay had done Jet and me the world of good. A forced but needed rest from the relentless routine of packing away the tent, putting the tent back up again, the hard graft from walking from one place to another every day, and the constant focus and problem solving to get us through whatever stood between A and B. I now felt I was more ready than I'd ever been for the challenge ahead. So far, I had walked from Swansea, completed the west coast of England, the formidable west coast of Scotland, both the inner and outer Hebridean Islands, the north of Scotland, Orkney and its surrounding islands, and most of Shetland. I had a goal, a purpose, and I felt good mentally and physically. At this point, only an asteroid wiping out humanity could have stopped me from finishing this walk. Before continuing, I spent the evening with Victor and his wonderful family to say goodbye. We dined on the herring that had come into season and had been caught by Victor's boat, washed down with beer, whiskey, as we celebrated what I believe was a beautiful connection between the Lawrences, Jet, and myself. Together, we had all achieved something great. I could not have done it without them. Ted, Jamie, and a few others who had also helped me came over to enjoy our last gathering before I set off the next day. That evening, as we all gathered round the fire, I toasted the endless efforts they had made, bringing food supplies and fresh water whenever the weather permitted. It was the most beautiful night with the most amazing people who had played such a special part in this adventure. Above all, I had once again made new friends. After those months of sleeping on a mattress in a house on Hildasay, albeit with no running water, electricity or heating, it was amazing to be back in the tent again after lockdown and once again be surrounded by the comforting orange canvas that had kept us protected from the elements for the past 3 winters. On my first morning back